Howdy folks. Little John, Australia Day afternoon. Been a pretty quiet day. I was about to, I had planned on getting a little bit of lawn mowing done this afternoon, but the land of flooding rains has come upon me. Not quite flooding rain, but it's raining, and I'm not going to get out there to to mow any lawn. So I thought, what better time than to sit down and do something very Australian on Australia Day, and that's to drink a couple of beers brewed in foreign countries. Yep. Yeah, normally it's all Australia and meat pies and Barnsley and Knowlesy, but no, I've had me Aussie music playing most of the day. I bottled up a batch of brew, but I've got a couple of beers here that I'm about to do a little bit of tasters on. I've been waiting on just the right occasion to sit down and have a go at them, and what they are is three very well-known distinct beers from three different countries. And so starting off with this fella, the Rodenbach Grand Cru, some Flanders Red Ale. So there, and this is I had a Rodenbach a while back, but it was a I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was a lighter version, and it's certainly not the full deal. It was more something a bit more approachable than this fella. But people at that time were commenting, yeah, I need to get into this. Yeah, and I've never actually come across one, and I did recently, so I grabbed it for just this occasion. So before I get into the tasting this one, thumbs up to all the Patreons. Cheers guys. Thanks for your support. Subscribers, just watchers in general, thank you. If you aren't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. If you're watching the video, hit the like button while you're here. Yeah, if you do like what's going on and you want to see a bit more, jump in the link down the bottom there, have a look what Patreon's about. Might be just your thing. Okay, so into this fella, Grand Cru, Flanders Red Ale. It's aged in oak foeders, don't know how actually it's pronounced, but basically it's aged in oak barrels, which gives it its a sour edge. I'm trying the production date on here, but there's no actual, doesn't have a best before or any indication of when you should be drinking it. She's 6% alcohol. My best understanding here, this was brewed July 2019 perhaps. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard exactly. That's as close as I can get to finding a year is 19. So anyway, so there, she's poured with no head. It's, to me, it's more brownish than red. There's a red hue with a good light through it, but without the light, it's definitely more brownish. Again, I am colourblind, but yeah, it's got that typical aged soury beer of that typical note. Okay. You often see like a description of a horse blanket, and it's got a touch that, but it's not as strong as I was sort of expecting it to be a little bit more. It does have a nose of sour cherry, Yum. Oh, that is really, okay, it's not particularly sour. There's not a lot of sour. There's a little bit, but not much. And again, I said, it's not particularly a sour. The Flanders Red, it slips into that category of farmhouse ale, so there's a little bit of sour, but it's more funk than sour. It says serve at 6 to 8 degrees, which is a little bit warmer than what it actually is right now. Come out of the fridge, it's probably sitting at about 3-ish. But should warm up quick enough. But it's poured no head. There's not much in the way of carbonation. There's no visible. Oh, there is a little bit, not a lot. Right, yeah. Trying to find some way of describing what's happening there with the flavour is. It's not beer-like. It's got a sort of a beer feel from the light carbonation that's there, but there's a little bit of a light red wine sort of a feel. Even the taste is sort of really hard to sort of get a point on. Now again, I'm getting that sort of cherry feel. I mean, the cherry feel. So there's no cherry. No mention of cherry. As far as I know, there's no cherry in this beer. I think the previous one I had was a fruit, and it did have cherry in it. But this, it says barley malt. It doesn't actually say anything else, bloody. Anyway, so it's got that. Yeah, it's got cherry taste. It's a little bit of medicinal, but not a lot. There's some sweet sort of caramel notes, like a touch of molasses, brown sugar edge on it. It's a tad creamy. It's just wickedly soft. That little bit of, like, when I say creamy, it's not like a dairy cream, just that feel, the creaminess in the mouth, and that added with that little bit of carbonation, it's just very soft in the mouth. It's very very desserty, almost. It's almost like taking a creme brulee with the sauce, like a caramel sauce, and added a little bit of tart cherry. Oh, but it's fucking delicious. Why have I not discovered this earlier in my life? Absolutely fabulous. Anyway, so I'm going to finish this fella. I'll come back with the next brew on Levo. Score out of 10. I'm going to give it a 9. Without a doubt. 9 out of 10, easy. That's a bloody crack. Absolutely beautiful beer. I see why people recommend, when you get into that sort of style, funky beers, or they get into that. And if you're out there and you've not tried, pardon me, even if you're not into funky beers or sours or anything like that, give that a crack, because that is bloody fantastic. And I think anyone that's into beer and seriously considers themselves a bit of a bit, to be into their beer, you've got to try that. It's up there with your Trappist, your Chimay and Roquefort and stuff like that. So those sort of beers that you've got to try. They might not be to your liking, but you need to give them a whirl. That's one of them. So finish that and I'll be back shortly. Oh no. That fella's done. Out of the way. Moving on to our next traditional Australia Day beer. This fella, Warsteiner, German lager. Now, if you've been around the channel a while and you've seen any great number of review videos and tastings and things, or particularly lives, you'd would have heard me refer to this one many times. This is a beer I cannot get my hands on too often, and up until it's probably like 5 or 6, might be like 6 or 7 years ago when I first got my hands on it. Before that, it was this mythical beer I'd heard about. First time I actually heard mentioned was a fellow goes by the name of Bräu, and he was on the Aussie home brewer forum, and quite often when people talk about European style lagers and things, he'd bang out about Warsteiner and how good it was, and I said you couldn't get it, I looked for it, you couldn't find it, and then one day the local IGA, bang, there it was, sitting in the chiller, in the fridge. They do it occasionally, they get a one, and like a while, but things have changed a little bit. But back then they'd get these one-offs of these unusual, different beers, and they get like one carton, they'd have like 4 6-packs in the fridge. So I grabbed one at a time and well, fantastic, let's give it a go. Now, sitting here I can smell it. There's this waft of intense maltiness. Now, it's that, I thought it was that typical lager smell. It's malt, it's a little bit earthy, it's heavy, a bit dank, but in this, it's amped up. It's like they're taking all these things and just gone a little bit above. You can see it there. It's dark golden. It's not straw. It's pushing into that darker side. Brought a nice head. Now I've gone with me nice little. Not a stang. It's a very tall Pilsner glass. I'm trying to keep to the style of the glasses we should be using. And now I said those notes on the nose are just rich and strong. And those flavours sort of carry into the mouth, but they're not quite as intense as the smell. But you don't get what you're expecting from a German type, European sort of lager, Pilsner type of beer. It hasn't got that typical light maltiness and with the you know, a little bit of grassy or spicy hop note that you tend to get. It's much bolder. It's still clean, it's simple, but again, it's like you've just taken all the little points and just put them up a little bit. You've taken that maltiness and taken it up sort of 20%. So it's dragged that sweet edge off a little bit and made it a little bit more, yeah, a little bit deeper the flavour. The rich tones of the caramel are coming a bit more to the fore. The sweetness itself is pulling away. The hops are, for all intents, virtually non-existent in their presence, other than the fact that they're providing just a beautiful level of bitterness. You know, they're there. They're giving you the nice little bit of bite at the start, and it flows back and just closes off. There's a little bit of that grassy, earthy sort of flavour, but it's not really standing out, and because it stops so quickly, and the whole flavour doesn't really continue in the mouth, you get left with a little bit of that rich maltiness, but nothing else. But it's just, yeah, that's a tasty brew. Yeah, it's nice, it's good. As I said, it's different. It's not your traditional I don't know where it sits in its actual category. I don't know. I don't think it sort of pushes into a Munich lager. It might push that sort of way, but I don't think it's quite that intense either. It's in between. It's sort of somewhere between your traditional European sort of like German lager and a Munich, where it's in between. It's taking some of the richness of the Munich without having all of it, and it's still got some of that light grassy hoppiness of the Pilsner, but again, not all of it. It's sort of in between, but it's a bloody great beer. Again, this one, if you haven't tried it and you can get your hands on it, do so, because if you're into that European and German sort of lagers, that range, Munich, Vienna lagers, that sort of thing, and you see it, give it a crack, because it is a beauty. I have met, I know the brother's mate didn't like it at all, couldn't do it. It was too malty for him. But he was a non-craft beer drinker. He's definitely a straight up mega swell drinker, so it was too much for him. And I will say this, it goes bloody absolutely fantastic on barbecue onions. I've never had any other beer on the barbecue that caramelises an onion quite like this Warsteiner does, and that was, clearly from that big malt presence that's there. So if you want to make yourself some nice bloody beard onions, that's a good one for it. But again, that's her. I'm going to finish her off. I'm going to go a 9 out of 10 again. Yeah, it's bloody fantastic. Anyway, I'm going to finish this fella off and I'm back shortly and we'll have a look at the last beer of the trio. Alrighto, that's done and dusted. We thank the Germans for their contribution to Australia Day. Next up is a beer that needs needs a special glass. Now, I don't know exactly what glass I should be serving this in, but this is the best I can come up with. Little half pint pub beer mug. And the reason being, now this is a beer I've wanted to try for a long time. I've read about, I've heard about it. It's almost like it's this mystical beer that doesn't really exist. It's only occurred somewhere in several beer drinkers' dreams. It was certainly something I didn't know I would ever get my hands on. But on this same eventful trip to to Plonk, within Belconnen shop in Canberra, where I got the Warsteiner and the Rodenbach, I come across this fella, and I grabbed it quicker than anyway, I grabbed it pretty quickly. I've had it sitting here while I've drunk the Warsteiner. I've had it sitting out because it tells me it should be best drunk at room temperature, and given the beer, I probably should drink it somewhere a little bit warmer than fridge temp at the very least. So let's pull him out, let's no more mucking around. And it's this fella, Traquair House Ale, Scottish ale, brewed at Traquair House in a Leafin, Peeblesshire. I'm sorry, my Scottish descendancy is not good enough to really give me a complete Scottish tongue to get around such words, but that's about the best I can do with it. Anyway. 7.2% alcohol. I'll get some into this glass and get him underway. Now I don't know, it's still a bit cool, the bottle, so it probably could be a little bit warmer, but we'll see how we go with it. Smells rich. I said 7.2%. Obviously it's a strong Scotch ale. Don't know exactly what it comes under. As far as the rating of Scotch ales goes, so, but 7.2 is up there. It's certainly in the high end. It's definitely a strong Scotch ale. I don't know where I thought it'd go on there. Anyway, and it says on the front here, potent liquor is brewed by the laird in the ancient brew house, the oldest inhabited house in Scotland. Whether that's the truth or not, I don't know, but it's a pretty big one. But imagine like the oldest inhabited house in Scotland. Obviously I'm assuming it's the oldest inhabited house that's still inhabited. But pretty bloody old. Does write on the back here that the actual gates of the estate have been locked since 1748. Can't remember the last time anyone went through there was Prince Charles at the time. Obviously not our Prince Charles. I know he's old, but he's not that bloody old. But So as I said, I've read about this over the years and heard about it, and it's sort of portrayed as this, sort of the holy grail of strong, that's the point of a better word, British ales. It's crystal clear. It's a deep crimson red. It's not really going to show up there. There's not enough light behind. There's no light behind me to really show it. I'll grab my torch and see if that will help. It's got an intensely rich red colour. Again, I don't know if that's going to show up on camera or not. But the nose is just so rich. And it's got that nose of an ESB, of a strong bitter, but it's just amped up a bit. In all honesty, it's got it's reminding me instantly of a hobgoblin, of a red ruby ale. Deep dark fruits, big malt toffee. Okay, very similar sort of flavours. It's very typical, stronger ESB, and again those pommy sort of red, well, they're not red, ruby ales. Very similar depth and mouthfeel. Actually, probably not as intense as a hobgoblin. Again, trying to refer these flavours to something that people may well recognise. Again, plenty of people have not tried a hobgoblin as an example. Plenty of people have drunk ESBs. Any of those pommy beers are pushing into that sort of red sort of scale. Where you're getting those toffee, caramel notes, a little bit of dried fruit. There's not as much dried fruit on this, on the palate, as there is on the nose. It's got a nice little head. It's not holding anything, but this, it's not really the best glass for holding a head. Sort of feel a bit like what's the old bloody pommy shows that said they used to drink in the pub, the old fellas. You'd sit there, you go, I'll have a half. I can't think what the bloody show was. I don't know. I'd have to check it out, but and again, it finishes so quickly. You get this big, intense toffee, a slight hint of coffee note underlying it, a little bit, just a touch of the dried fruit, plum. Not so much pushing into like sort of sultana stuff, but definitely like plums, prunes, that sort of rich, sort of dark fruit. And then it just poof, it just goes, it just stops. And just leaving a very gentle sort of light sort of just sweetness in the mouth, but no real flavour. It's there. Boom, it's gone. Lingers for 4 or 5 seconds after you've swallowed, and then but it's almost like there's a line through your mouth where it stops. There's nothing, there's not a lot going on at the back, almost nothing at the sort of back third of the mouth. I'm not really picking up any great hop effect. There's enough there, again, same as that like Warstein, there's sort of, you're getting the bitterness. It's all malt. It's malt. Malt's driving all the flavours, doing all the presence. It's a nice level of carbonation. Now, looking at it, there's not a lot. It's very light, but it's enough of the sweetness that gives you. It's only a medium mouthfeel. It's not heavy in any way. It's medium and almost it's light without being empty. It's quite nice. It's gotta say it's fairly much sort of what I was expecting. Again, particularly saying like this is a beer that's been around for a long time. It's an old beer. It's not. Yeah, it's not something new, it's not been around for 50 years, this has been around for a bloody long time. Again, I don't know exactly how old this particular brew is, but it is old. It is. I mean, I'm talking, you're looking at, they've been brewing this for well over 130, 140 years. And again, having not drunk a lot of Scotch ales, a lot of Scottish beer, they're not easily come by. You know, I've seen our part of the world. I haven't got a lot to go off. But either way, even without having something to directly compare it to, it's a bloody nice beer. Now that it's sort of warming a little bit, it's getting a little bit more. The sweetness is falling back just a little bit. It's becoming a little bit more. Well, less sweet. Yeah, it's solid, very solid. And as I say, if you're not into malt-driven beers, then don't go here. This is going to freak you out. It's malt. It's one thing I want to point out. Best before date on this fella is the 28th of January 2029. Now, there's no indication of when it was bottled. Now, if that's a 10-year best before date, that would make this bottle a year old. I can't imagine you're going to have a weird round number. Like 10 years seems like a number you're going to use as the best. Yeah, as the best before. You might go 5, 10. Certainly, I don't think you can get 9 years, which would make it, made January last year. I don't think you can get 9 years as the best before. So I'm assuming at the moment that this beer is, for all intents and purposes, pretty much exactly 1 year old. It's 26th of January. Sorry, 2 years old. I'm assuming it was brewed in 2019. Makes it 2 years old. And again, if you looked it up, you'd probably find out they probably hold these bottles for quite a while before they actually release them. It's quite possible this bottle was a year old before it even got released for sale. By the time it actually got here and got to the, the local seller, who knows? But I've not seen a beer with that length of age on it before. There's beers that tell you they'll age for many years, but I've not seen something with the best before date that far into the future. So I found that interesting. But again, I think like if you're really into your beer and a little bit of history and the story behind and where it's come from. This is a beer that, clearly I think is going to be on your list of ones you want to try at some point in your life. We've all over to Scotland. It's hard to say. I was planning, we were going this year, and the missus were going to go the end of this year, both of us heading long service of work, and we were going to go. We were going to do England, we're going to hit Scotland. Like I said, it's technically my homeland, where my descendants come from. It's a long story, but in which case, like this sort of things, I'm certainly going to be a lot easier to track down. But if you're not getting to Scotland, it's probably a beer that it isn't easy to find. But if you do, give it a crack. Score? Look, I've got nothing really to compare it to, which makes it a little difficult. But that's the same with the, with the Rodenbach. But as far as it goes, for what it is, I've got to give it a 9 out of 10. Big, it's boozy, it feels boozy, without being, feeling alcoholic. And as it's warming, you're sort of picking up, you're noticing the alcohol. Again, it's not having an eating, but you're noticing it's there. So yeah, good, well rated. Again, give that a go if you can. So that's me. So it's a couple of imports for Australia Day. Free beers, not always easy to find. Very good examples of their own styles, and very, very good beers, and each in their own, just as they are, without being stuck in any sort of category, just to drink them on their own. 3 great beers. I've really enjoyed drinking these, and I hope you've enjoyed coming along with me. But that's for now. That's Little John, Australia Day. Happy birthday, everybody. Comments or questions, stick them down the bottom. Thumbs up to the Patrons. Cheers to the subscribers. As I said, links are down the bottom for Patreon. Hit the bell, hit the bell. Become a subscriber. if you haven't subscribed already, hit the like button regardless. But I'm gone, so until I see you again, cheers.